Hello everyone and welcome to this video about the Indy 500 that took place in 1995. It was the 79th running of the Indy 500 and was also a pretty turbulent time for IndyCar racing, and this would in fact be the last time that the kart teams would race around the Indy 500 track. Now the big news coming into the race is that the Team Penske cars both failed to qualify. Team Penske had dominated the 1994 Indy 500, but this year the rulemakers USAC had changed the rules for the engines, and Team Penske really lost out. They just couldn't get it right with the new rules, and that resulted in Emerson Fittipaldi and last year's winner Alan Jr. not qualifying for the race. And it was in fact Team Menard who took a 1-2. With Scott Brayton on the pole and Arie Luyendyk in P2. Tasman Motorsports driver Scott Goodyear was third, Michael Andretti fourth, Jacques Villeneuve fifth, and Mauricio Gugelmin heading up the second row in sixth place. Now, as the race was just about to get underway, the cars were on the formation laps, there was already trouble for Robbie Gordon. He would come into the pits with comms issues. He couldn't hear his spotter on the radio. There was no radio, you can't hear your spotter in the Indy 500. That could lead to some severe problems. So he puts it in and they try to fix that. While he was on pit road, though, the rest of the field were coming around, trying to get into formation. But eventually, the green flag would drop and we would go racing at the Indy 500.
The pace car begins now to accelerate. Scott Brayton, the pole sitter, leads the front row around. Good alignment on the front row. Pace car is off the track now. They're a bit straggled beyond the front row. Brayton begins to accelerate. There's the green flag. And the 79th running of the Indy 500 is underway as Scott Goodyear sweeps across the outside and into the lead. Arie Luyendyk ducks into second place. And we've got a car into the wall right off of the first turn. Two cars tangled. One of them is Eddie Cheever. The other looked to be Stan Fox. And the front end of one car cut away. The rest of the field slows.
All right, Paul, in turn two, we can see debris, the main bad thing. Debris, broken race cars, laying all over this race track. Clear down into turn two, all the way from turn one, clear down here. There's Dan Fox sitting right in front of us there. The biggest thing the guy's going to have to worry about when they come back around, cutting their tires and all the carbon fiber laying around.
So we've seen three cars. Eddie Cheever is out of his, Stan Fox is his, and it looks like Lynn St. James, the third car. She is still in her car.
Jill DeFarron had hit some debris and was limping back to the pits. Severely damaged front suspension. He would drop out because the pit crew just determined that there was just too much damage to fix. So what had happened here is that Stan Fox had dipped low into the inside. He hit the rumble strips, he got it all loose, and basically spun halfway around, and the car just shot directly to the outside wall in turn one. And he took Eddie Cheever along with him, and well, the car was just demolished when they hit the wall. The front nose got ripped off, and Fox's legs and body were completely exposed as the car crashed up into the catch fence there. Eddie Cheever, Lynn St. James, and Carlos Guerrero, they got caught up in the incident as well. Now, Stan Fox was seriously injured here, unfortunately. You would think he'd taken some damage to his legs. He had, but he had severe head injuries. And they actually put him into a coma for 5 days. He had to have surgery to remove a clot from his brain. And he stayed in the hospital in the critical care for over a month. IndyCar career was over. But he did start a foundation called Friends of the Fox. And that's to help people who suffered head injuries. And each year he would take someone to the Indy 500 and they'd get full VIP treatment to meet the drivers and all that. But sadly, Stan Fox was killed in late 2000 in a road accident in New Zealand. So after a caution that lasted 9 laps, it was time to go back to green, and Scott Goodyear would lead them back to green flag racing on lap 10.
Pace comes up. And here we go. Green light winks on the main straightaway. Now single file back to the green. And Ari Lyondike immediately starts a challenge on Goodyear. Michael Andretti is third. Scott Brayton is fourth, and Lyondike sweeps across the front. Look at the tremendous power of that Menard engine as he begins to pull away.
Look at the smoke coming out of the Menard. We had smoke coming out of the right rear of the Menard as it came through that corner. Now that could have been from the debris before, Paul, because I don't see any smoke down the back straightaway.
Michael Andretti moving inside of Scott Goodyear. The fight is for second place.
So Ari Lyondike led from Michael Andretti and Scott Goodyear in third. And Michael Andretti would actually catch Lyondike in traffic and managed to go past him into the lead. And Ari Lyondike, he would take that opportunity to hit the pit road. And he would have a bit of a disastrous pit stop here. His car, you saw the smoke coming out of his car. And as he prepared to leave pit road, so just adjust the wing there, maybe 3 turns of front wing. As he prepared to leave pit road, the engine misfired, he stalled. They pulled him back. They managed to get it restarted again. The Menard's team was very busy because his teammate Scott Brayton was coming into the pits. They got Lyondike back out, but he would suffer a misfire for the rest of the race. And this left Michael Andretti out front, leading the way. Scott Goodyear came back, and Michael Andretti would pit, and this left Scott Goodyear in the lead.
Since then, so Scott Goodyear, we watch for the turn down onto pit road.
Goodyear left the team that he was with last year.
So Scott Goodyear into the pit, and that would promote Jacques Villeneuve into the lead as Goodyear fitted some new Firestones. Okay. But yeah, Villeneuve, he would take the lead of the race.
Steve Horn made no adjustments to that car. Now that's something else we want to watch as the race goes on.
Then the caution would come out for debris on the racetrack, which it came from this. Ari Lyondike got a bit upset here, couldn't get past a back marker, and flipped him the bird, and in doing so knocked his headrest out onto the track. So we were under caution. So now by the rules, obviously the pits were immediately closed, and Villeneuve, he became scored as the leader on lap 38. Now a few cars, including Villeneuve and Scott Pruitt and some others, had not made a scheduled stop yet, and they were coming close to running out of fuel. Now Villeneuve and his crew, they weren't aware that they were leading the race. So the safety car went out to pick up the field and was supposed to be directly in front of Villeneuve as the leader. But Villeneuve, not knowing, he went past the pace car twice. Went past, caught it up, went past again, thinking that he had to cycle round. And then finally the officials got the field all sorted out and running order correct, and the pit was opened. And then Villeneuve immediately went into the pits for service. He had a slow pit stop, lots of errors, pretty messy, just a mess of a pit stop, really. He pulled away with a fuel hose attached, and he stalled on the pull away. It was terrible. But anyway, a few minutes later, after the race got back to green, USAC assessed Villeneuve a 2-lap penalty for passing the pace car twice as they were trying to pick him up. So the penalty dropped him from 3rd to 27th, and he was 2 laps down. He's just had 2 laps effectively deleted from his scoring serial.
And we're back racing again, riding on Bobby Rahall's nose as we head down into turn 1 at better than 215 miles an hour. The leader is Andretti. Scott Goodyear is in second. There is Michael. The order now pit stops, some of these slower cars and backfield cars are mixed in with the leaders of the race. There's the running order after 42 laps. As we look at the Valvoline leaderboards,
also, let's keep in mind, Paul, that these guys have been watching weather. We're getting a lot of sunshine.
Lap 77, and Maurizio Gugelmin led the race. And he was about to make his pit stop under green flag. And as he did so, Michael Andretti went around the outside and got it a bit offline and hit the wall. And he would have to come into the pits as well, and he would retire with suspension damage. They tried to change the tires, they had a look at the car, but it was no good. The suspension was damaged. Gugelmin, he got back out onto the racetrack. Jacques Villeneuve, he pitted, had a bit of a better stop this time, must be said. Michael Andretti.
now here is Michael Andretti. Yeah, that's not a brush, that's a solid hit.
Scott Sharp got into the wall, and this would bring out the caution. He was all right, but this was happening just as Michael Andretti was getting out of his race car. Scott Sharp found the wall.
A lap later, this was Scott Sharp coming into the same turn, only he lost it well before the corner and got up into the wall. And then the leader of the race was Scott Goodyear. Mauricio Gugelmin is the leader, followed by Tracy, and then the rookie, Andrew Ribeiro. And we're green. Here we go again. Looking for Gugelmin in the middle of all that. There he is, swinging to the outside. That's Rahal just in front of him.
Dangerous part right there, Paul, whittling his way up through the pack like that. He's right in the middle of it for a while.
We weren't green for very long until Stefan Johansson brought out the caution again. He shredded a tire on the pit exit, and his car was stranded right there in the middle of the road.
Watch Johansson.
Now he's clear down on the apron, right there, right in front of us there.
Oh, right
All
rear
of a
wing.
sudden, the right rear tire shredded. That means it was probably low, out of air, and when they're like that, they just come apart.
So the cautions had led Villeneuve to get a lap back, and then Andre Ribeiro, he pulled over with an electrical problem, and this would also bring out a caution, and Villeneuve was able to get his second lap back. And through all these cautions, Villeneuve was now back on the lead lap. And then shortly after that caution, only 11 laps of green, it was Paul Tracy who had an electrical problem. I swear these guys are sponsored by Eskom. And this shook up the order a bit, and Jimmy Vasser led from Villeneuve in second on the lead lap.
Here we go again. Vasser in the lead. The 27 car of Villeneuve in second place. So Vasser is actually sitting third in the order. Villeneuve is another 4 cars back. There goes Vasser.
Jimmy Vasser pitted from the lead under the green flag, and this handed a lead to Jacques Villeneuve. For the first time since his 2-lap penalty, he was on the lead lap and in the lead of the race. And then, with just 38 laps to go, approaching the end, Villeneuve would pit, but he had to swerve back onto the track as pit lane closed, as Davy Jones was in the wall, and this brought out the caution and closed pit lane. And Scott Pruitt actually got past Villeneuve into the lead, but Villeneuve did avoid a penalty by not going into pit.
The officials are going to have to do some rethink on some of these pit stop no's.
Now here is a situation with Davey, who just got high coming off it too, right in front of the VIP suites and up against the wall. He appears to be okay as a result. Here's another view of it.
He had, Davy Jones did a very decent race going for himself. You'd seen him able to hold off Bobby Rahal. You see him now above the groove there in the center of your screen. He's in deep trouble already, I would think, wouldn't you, Bobby?
Yes,
no
and
chance.
once you get that far into the gray, where you pass the apex on the corner, near the exit, that's it.
Villeneuve had been low on fuel and desperate to pit, and as soon as pit lane did open, he shot in there. He took on 4 new tires. He filled up with gas. He was ready to go to the end of the race. And Jimmy Vasser led him back to green.
Now's the time when the crew will turn them totally loose and say, race it on your own. As Jimmy Vasser picks up the pace. Matsuda heads into the pits as they come back to green. Vasser passes him. Pruitt moves to the inside. That's Goodyear sliding in just behind them. Pruitt can't get it done. Drops 2 wheels below the line onto the rumble strip. Battle for the lead in Indianapolis.
Laps to go, and drama as race leader Jimmy Vasser. He hit the wall. He got it a little high, and he was in the wall, which brought out another caution.
With the wall. Let's take a look at it. Look how high he is there.
Completely out of the groove. There he is. Kaboom. He just went into the turn too fast, it looks like. Got out of the groove. Once you get out there, especially when the groove is very dirty this late in the race, that's where all the little rubber deals off, the tires have gone, all the little trash. Look at him going out there, kaboom, right into the wall there. It's just too loose out there. The guys have to stay in the groove.
So the leader of the race crashes. Jimmy Vasser, as he was anticipating the stop. Scott Pruitt picks up the lead. Let's go to Jerry Punch. Scott Pruitt out in front. Scott Goodyear right behind him. Jack Villeneuve in third. And Raul Boisel is fourth, followed by Christian Fittipaldi and Eliseo Salazar. And here we go. This should be a run to the 500th mile. And as immediately Goodyear tries to make a move and gets it done as they cross the line.
Pruitt drops right into his slipstream.
He absolutely drafted him. I saw it coming. He laid for him. Scott Pruitt was slow on the gas. What a better thing. You can bet Pat Patrick is going straight in the air right now.
Notice there at the restart, Scott jumped the gun a bit and passed the pace car before it hit pit road, while Villeneuve, he had backed off a bit. The USAC officials let this go. They let it slide, probably because it was so close. But then Scott Pruitt hit the wall. He spun across the track, got into the catch fencing on the other side.
Let's watch for him.
Oh, he just came through there, and you can just see almost hit the whole wall sideways, or hit the car sideways, right almost even. The rear end was out just a little bit. It's just a gust of wind, I'm sure.
He tried everything he could to catch it. Once he got the wall, he was totally out of control, cut the gearbox off the back of the car as well as the rear suspension, and did some damage to the fence there. Here's one more view of it, Sam.
He slides out at the back. Watch the tail of his car get a little wide here. He tries to fight the car to steer into the slide. It's too late. He runs out of track.
Almost verbatim what happened to Emerson Fittipaldi last year. Almost the same thing, the same way.
Except in turn 2 for Scott Pruitt. And Salazar then Fittipaldi.
Can't be right.
Can't do that.
Pace car was too slow, Paul. He needed to get a run.
But they gave him the green flag anyway. Dwayne Sweeney is waving the green flag. Goodyear got a run on the pace car.
I think it was only a normal deal. The pace car just wouldn't accelerate. He just went too slow.
Jack Villeneuve was not anticipating that. And as a result, Goodyear got a good run on him. Now that's Arie Luyendyk that's moving in there. He is not part of this battle. Luyendyk runs in 8th place, a lap down.
So this is a bit of a controversial moment here, with Goodyear passing the pace car while it was still on the track. Now Goodyear had claimed that he saw green light and he blew past the pace car, but the video footage that showed that there was definitely a yellow light. And then in addition to that, the scoring transponders in the pace car and the race cars showed that at the end of the back stretch, the pace car, turning its lights off, was clocked at 77 miles per hour. And Goodyear was slightly slower at 68. At the entry of turn 3, where the pace car had been clocked at 83 miles an hour, Goodyear and Villeneuve, they were doing 117 and 118 miles per hour, respectively. Then through the North Chute, Goodyear increased his speed to about 166 miles per hour. The pace car was in the middle of turn 4. And by the exit of turn 4, when Goodyear blew past the pace car, he was doing 193 miles an hour. The pace car itself was speeding up from about 98 miles per hour to over 117 miles per hour. And as it entered, as it was entering the pits, he was actually speeding up. Now, Villeneuve, he anticipated the situation, and he slowed back way down to 142 miles an hour. So this information was brought to light because Goodyear's team threatened to protest. But in the end, they didn't because of all of this information. But for blowing past the pace car like that, Goodyear was given the black flag. So this left Jacques Villeneuve in the lead of the race.
Now Jacques Villeneuve will be looking at a white flag and one final lap, a final 2.5 miles. An unbelievable run. The story will be told that Jacques Villeneuve went 2 laps down on a penalty and fought his way back to the front of the field, across the South Chute for the final time in front of Bobby Unser.
Going by us, and he's looking really good, Paul. No problems.
Arie Luyendyk staying right there, wants to get in that winner's picture. Jacques Villeneuve on the backstretch.
The magnitude of his achievement. Listen to the roar of the crowd. Back from 2 laps down. Only his 2nd year.
One more turn. The first Canadian on his way to winning the Indianapolis 500. Jacques Villeneuve on the home stretch. And the 79th Indy 500 has been won by Jacques Villeneuve as Arie Luyendyk screams by on the outside. The young Canadian has taken the win. There's 2nd place, Christian Fittipaldi. 3rd place is Bobby Rahal.
Taking the customary congratulations of everybody, the swig of milk. Jack, first of all, tell us about your emotions when you were 2 laps down with the penalty.
I was really, really unhappy, and I think I was swearing a little bit, actually, but I didn't know I was in the lead when the yellow fell, and all I was trying to do was get back to the pack, and everybody was flying back the pace car, and I didn't see it trying to stop me. So, at that point, I thought, that's it. We can get a few points, but then the car was really, really good, and the team did a terrific job.
Let's talk about the team, because the teamwork on the pit crews and the pit stops, it was just incredible. They got you back in the hunt.
Yeah, the team did an unbelievable job. I stalled it in 2 pits and in 2 pit stops. And the first pit stop, I started to go before the refueling was done, and they just did an unbelievable job. And we talked with Barry and Tony during the run, and we worked on the car a little bit, and the car was really, really strong for the second half of the race.
And then the final restart.
Yeah, the final restart was, I stayed close to Scott Goodyear, and I knew my players Reynard would be strong for the last few laps. But then when we got close to the pace car, I hit the brakes, because you can't get by the pace car before it gets in the pit, and I knew he was going to get black flagged.
So let's talk about, too, your feelings having won the Indianapolis 500. Has it sunk in yet?
Oh, it's great. The first part of the race, I didn't think we could make it with the 2 laps down. And I tell you, I'm lucky to be with a great team, and everybody just worked hard. It's the best team out there, and I'm lucky to be with them.
Will we see you back to defend your Indianapolis 500 title in 1996?
I don't know yet, but it sure would be a lot of fun.
Let's go back to the tower.
Villeneuve there explaining that he completely understands the rules, and now an interview with 2 complete idiots.
Scott Goodyear has climbed out of the car, and Scott, I don't know how you put into words the emotions you must be experiencing right now. I'm sure you feel like you've won this race.
Well, it's quite disappointing to come down pit lane and get flagged on past victory circle. Actually, that was a bit of a surprise. I think everybody throughout the world knows that who won this race, but this pace car scenario, I mean, I got caught on it the first time, and Pruitt almost hit it. The guy's definitely slowing down in turn 4, and by the time you get a rolling go and coming through 4, I'm not sure if they're slowing down or what they're doing, but by the time I was going past him, I saw the green light, so that's all I can tell you.
I know you haven't had much time to reflect on this disappointment. How does it compare to that close 2nd place finish to Al Unser Jr. a couple of years back?
Well, that was disappointing, and we were racing to the end, but this probably just is underneath me right now, because I don't agree with what's going on here right now. We'll just have to wait and see.
Did you see the green light? Did you have any feel for your relationship to the pace car when it went green?
When I was going past the pace car, the next light I looked up upon was green, and that's all I need to go by.
And then, was there any Did you acknowledge the black flag at all? Was there any consideration when you were talking with Steve Horn?
Nope, none from my side whatsoever. And I was staying out because in my eyes it was perfect. And if I came in and we found out that I didn't make a mistake, then what are you going to do? You don't get it back.
Steve, is there any way that you will try to pursue this? Will there be a protest filed?
We have to look at the video. I think the key part of this is USAC have already reversed one decision today. Jacques Villeneuve did actually get a 2-lap penalty for passing the pace car already and has had that reversed. So I think USAC, we have to go to USAC and look at the videos. It's very clear what happened and who won this race. So we just have to get the decision reversed.
Now, you say that Villeneuve had it reversed. We thought it, and our picture seemed to indicate he made up those laps on the racetrack. You don't see it that way?
No, he had a 2-lap penalty and the decision was reversed by USAC to our understanding.
Well, race control is saying that they did not reverse that decision. We'll let you take that up with them. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
So yeah, they looked at the video footage, and Scott Goodyear, it was a figment of his imagination there, obviously. And then his crew chief there, I mean, the decision was not reversed. Villeneuve was 2 laps down. He was given a 2-lap penalty, and he made it back up on the racetrack, as we just saw. So, yeah. This just makes these two look like complete fools. They just do not understand the rules. They do not understand what's going on. And maybe that's because they're a team that only compete once a year in the Indianapolis 500. They obviously looked at all the footage and assessed all the transponder information, and it was decided that they wouldn't actually protest the result, which is correct, because had they have protested it, they would have lost. Need to go and study the rule books, I think, a bit there. All right, well, guys, that's the end of today's video. Like it if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see some more. Going to be having some interesting stuff coming up. And until the next time, have a good time all the time.